put up the questions now.
Yeah, just to go. My name is Neil Patterson, of course, with Scotland. It's just a kind of a quick factual point before we move on. On your press release, you say Scotland Yard to investigate Blair Goldsmith war crimes allegations. Officers from Scotland Yard have commenced a criminal investigation. I spoke with Scotland Yard on the way to this meeting this afternoon to say that that is not the case. That indeed all they have done is they are considering a complaint from a member of the public, as they would do any member of the public who reports a crime to them. Now, clearly, as you said in your preamble, it's very important that we get everything factually accurate here. And there is a vast gulf of difference between assets within Scotland Yard being allocated to a criminal investigation and the police merely considering your claim that a crime has been committed. First of all, what's your understanding of the situation? And secondly, if a criminal investigation hasn't begun, are we here merely to kind of lend weight to your calls for an independent investigation?
Maybe if we get Simon and Rob and Chris, who are involved in the meetings with the police, to explain exactly what's happened and the police officers that they met.
Yeah, just to introduce, Simon Moore and Rob Little were the two activists who, if the press needs to talk to them, went into Metropolitan Police station and reported these crimes. Would you like to quickly, briefly say what happened?
Sure. Well, Rob and I went to Marylebone Police Station, and after learning that under British common law that there were crimes relating to war, and we reported that under sections 51 and 52 of the International Criminal Court Act, we felt that the Iraq war was illegal, and they took a brief statement of our allegation. And we, having spoken to Chris, we had a pretty low expectation that we would hear anything back on that. But we then heard from officers from Scotland Yard who sent down two specialist officers, and along with Chris we delivered a 6.5-hour statement which included 20 pages of written evidence, and various pieces of evidence were submitted.
I want to give you a little bit of background. For 150 attempts, the Metropolitan Police, not the Metropolitan Police, all police forces, we've had certainly over 20 attempts with the Metropolitan Police from a month before the war started. And we know that there are influences at senior levels in the police who are wanting to ensure that a criminal investigation does not start into the International Criminal Court Act 2001, which are the most important criminal offences in this country. They have a duty in law, when a crime is reported, to investigate the crime. Now what they are saying is that the crime is under consideration. Is that right?
Yeah, that complaint has been considered. It's as if I reported a crime, yeah. They would first of all consider whether or not a crime had been committed.
Now, as I understand it, this is the initial stage of an investigation. In order to get into all the details needed by the Crown Prosecution Service, they have got to establish a number of facts in relation to the law and a number of facts in relation to the crimes and what actually happened, in order to establish if and how they will move the investigation forward. I think the press office is trying yet again to bring down the tempo on this, to hide it from, because I have to say that some of the most senior policemen in this country are intimately concerned in covering up and condoning the crimes which they have known about for a month prior to when the war started. So we have a serious problem of corruption in the police, and I don't say that without a lot of evidence. I also have evidence of corruption within ACPO and various other parts of the police service in order to ensure that proper investigations of these crimes did not occur. And that is still happening. And it's still there, sorry.
Now, I concur with Chris there that for someone just to walk off the street and try and report a crime, that doesn't necessarily mean that an investigation has been instigated. However, for them then to be reapproached by specialist police officers interviewed and the interview being taped for over 6 hours, that is the beginning of building an evidential chain around a possible crime. So there's a distinction there, and I think the press office is probably being disingenuous in trying to downplay the significance of that step after all these years of trying.
I think we have a general problem in this country in every branch of government, parliament, law enforcement authorities, the judiciary, the armed forces, but none of them know the implications of this country's most important laws. They don't even know that they exist, let alone what is prohibited, what behaviour is prohibited, and what behaviour is allowed. I find that appalling, and I think you'll find that the police are just as ignorant as everybody else, and we must inform them of the laws of war and their duty to uphold and enforce them.
I think the most important thing is to recognise that the campaign has had a significant breakthrough in actually having made all these attempts to get the police to take these allegations seriously. We now have a situation where the breakthrough is made, where specialist officers from Scotland Yard have interviewed the people who have lodged the complaint, 6.5 hours of an interview, collection of evidence, and at that stage now is moving forward into whatever they describe, whether it's an investigation or consideration. I think that's a significant breakthrough after so many attempts. And it will open up the debate again now about the legality of the Iraq war, not just amongst what happens with regard to the legal and judicial system, but also open up the debate again in Parliament. Any other questions?
It's Russian myself from Press TV. Given that you've got such a hard and fast case, why do you think the police haven't investigated it until now? And secondly, what do you think are your chances of a successful prosecution?
We touched on why they haven't acted up till now. We first reported this, as I say, a month before the war started, and Lord Stevens was running the Metropolitan Police. Now, I believe that because no senior policeman in this country knows the laws of war, they didn't even know what the International Criminal Court Act was all about. And certainly in talking to different members of the different parts of the police over the last 5 years, every time one has to go back to square one. There seems to be no system in this country for passing around what the laws of war are, what is prohibited behaviour and what is allowed behaviour, and what the police's role is in prosecuting or investigating and prosecuting war crimes. War crimes, in the police's mind, is for someone else, somewhere else. It's nothing to do with us. And that is the general attitude throughout every police force in this country.
And chances of a successful prosecution?
I think we have a great chance. The real benefit is that on September the 1st, 2001, we introduced the International Criminal Court Act, 2001. Sections 51 and 52 make it a criminal offence in English law to commit these crimes. Now, you'll find in here the detail of that. And if, as ordinary citizens, we go into every police authority in this country and we say, look, it's our understanding that crimes have been committed under this law, which is domestic criminal law in England and Wales. Would you please investigate it? Here is all the evidence. And if you're going to stop investigating it, we need to know why. And what they never do is tell us why they are not going ahead. So that's where it was really powerful for us.
There's a duty on the Home Office to make the public aware of laws, I believe. Because you can't just make a law and then not tell anyone about it, because what's the point?
I think we do it quite regularly. Sorry, did you want to comment?
Yeah, sorry, Nigel Morris from The Independent. Can I ask, Chris, you said earlier, from what I understand, this is the initial stage of an investigation. Can you tell us why you think it is the initial stage investigation? What was said to make you think that? How do you know it isn't actually the end of the investigation? They just met you to make you go away, as